How many times have you quoted an agent on a video package, a price that was already lower than you wanted to quote, and the agent still said it was too expensive and went with a cheaper competitor instead? How many times have you watched somebody else film a listing that you should have shot with work that you know is not as good as yours? And how many times have you sat there knowing you should be charging more and not been able to make yourself even say that higher number out loud? Because what if they leave? What if you lose them? What if you finally raise your price and work up the courage and justify your value and they walk? If you have lived any of these moments, this video is for you, because here's the reality. There's always going to be someone cheaper than you, always. And there's this quote from Dan Kennedy that I absolutely love. Alex Hormozi cites it in $100 million offers, but he says, there is no strategic benefit to being the second cheapest in the marketplace, but there is for being the most expensive. Just sit with that for a second. There is no benefit to being second cheapest, but there is for being the most expensive. So you have two options on the board: cheapest or most expensive. And there's always going to be somebody cheaper than you. There's someone right now buying his first camera, watching a YouTube tutorial, and 3 weeks from now, he's gonna be taking a job in your market for 200 bucks. You cannot outprice him. So if cheaper is not winnable, the only game left is to be the most expensive. And that is the trap that most of us fall in. We're trying to win a race where no one can finish first. You get caught somewhere in the middle, dropping your price every time an agent flinches and watching the cheap guy take the work anyway. I'm gonna spend the next few minutes walking you through how to get out of it, what the actual problem is, and what you should be doing instead, and what I have seen happen when creators figure this out, to me, to my clients, and to my members in the Signature Creator. Let me show you what's actually going on here. A few weeks ago, I ran a free workshop in my school community. Afterwards, a creator in the audience reached out to me and he sent me this. I want to share it because I think this is the entire industry in 3 paragraphs. He started by saying, I definitely do still have some questions, but I think they fall more under technical skills and maybe mindset. Then he said, I kind of fell into this career and didn't set up the right systems going into it. Just started shooting first, and now I'm finding myself in this space of too busy to build, but not busy enough or charging enough to grow correctly. Then this, I'm caught up in the creative side. I want to shoot and edit and make really incredible videos, but I understand that a good video doesn't necessarily mean conversion for my clients. Consistency and a brand voice does, but I'm not sure that I even have that for myself. And then this, the skills and level of video raised so fast, and trying to keep up and stay at a level that keeps me competitive in quality is another hurdle. On top of all of that, trying to keep up with current client projects and keep raising my skill level to offer more value. Then he ends with this. I kind of just feel like I'm treading water. Does that feel like you? A few days later, we jumped on a call and he explained even further, saying that he felt trapped by his early success, and that after months of shooting, delivering, and charging too little, he felt stuck in a position where he couldn't raise prices even though he was improving his skills. I think most of you watching this might just be in that same boat. See, he's not broke, he's not a beginner, he's not somebody who needs to learn how to hold a camera or balance a gimbal. He has clients, he's booking shoots, but he's completely exhausted. He's editing late, he feels stuck with his prices, and the better he gets at his craft, the more trapped he actually feels, because every new skill he picks up is one more thing that he has to do himself. Most people hear this story or live this story and try and fix the wrong problem. Quick thing before we keep going, if you want to know exactly where you stand on this whole thing, I built a free premium positioning audit. It's just a few questions, takes a few minutes, but you'll get your score broken down across the 4 systems that we're about to walk through, plus a personalized breakdown of exactly what to focus on first. The link is in the description. So the wrong problem to solve here is the price. When an agent tells you you are too expensive, the instinct is to immediately drop your price. Sometimes you just straight up drop it and say, yeah, I can do it for that amount. Sometimes you try and bundle in more value for the same amount of money, which is basically the same thing, just in slow motion. But you're not lowering the price on the service, you're lowering the price on the back end. You're working harder for the same amount of money. And look, I have done all of this. I've lowered my prices, I've tacked on extras, I've agreed to do a whole lot more for less because I did not want to lose the client. I said yes to jobs I already knew weren't worth it in the beginning and trapped myself in a position where I couldn't go back later and charge more. This is why that doesn't work. When an agent says you are too expensive, that is not actually a complaint about your price. That is a complaint about how you look against everyone else. Look at what you're selling right now. Really look at it. The guy down the street with a $200 package is offering the same HDR photos you are. He's probably even using the same editor. He offers the same drone package, the same floor plans, the same everything. His menu looks just like your menu. His packages look the same as your packages, and his packages are $100 cheaper. So why on earth would the agent have any reason to hire you? Now, seriously, put yourself in that agent seat for a second. She's sitting at her kitchen table with 3 booking portals pulled up on her laptop. She's comparing them line by line: drone, video, photo, floor plan, 3D tour. They all say the same things. She has no other information to make a decision with, so she picks the cheapest one. That is not a price problem. That is a comparison problem. When she can compare you, price becomes the primary decision. There's no other lever for her to pull. Every menu looks identical, so the only thing left to filter is the number at the bottom of the invoice. But when she cannot compare you and your service is different than your competitors, you get to decide. The conversation stops being how much does it cost and starts being when are you available. Here's the simplest way I can put it. If you and I walk into a Honda dealership and a Ferrari dealership on the same day, you do not walk out of a Ferrari dealership saying, well, the Honda was quite a bit cheaper. You don't even compare them because they're not even the same car. The Ferrari is solving an entirely different problem for an entirely different person. That is the move you have to make. Stop trying to be a cheaper Ferrari. Stop trying to be a slightly more expensive Honda. Become the only Ferrari in your market, the only one. So that when that agent has a listing that she needs to win, she's not pulling up 3 booking portals on her laptop. She's pulling up your phone number. So let me tell you who these agents are. Who are the agents in your market actually winning the next listing? It's not the agent with the most signs in the ground. It's not the agent who works the open houses the hardest. It's the agent who's showing up on camera. Not just showing up to the shoot, showing up on camera themselves. And look, don't take this from me. This is not my opinion, okay? Tom Ferry, the biggest real estate coach in the country, has been telling agents for years that daily video content is what makes a real estate business indestructible. Not differentiated, indestructible. He has built his entire coaching practice around that one idea. Ryan Serhant built the most followed real estate brand in the world. Over 8 million followers across every platform. He did not build it just to look cool. He built Serhant specifically as a content to commerce business with an in-house film studio generating leads. Gary Vaynerchuk has been telling real estate agents for over a decade that content is not optional. It is the cost of entry. If you are not creating, you are invisible. And just a few days ago, at the time of recording this, Real Brokerage announced that they're buying RE/MAX for $550 million. The content-driven and tech-driven brokerage buying a legacy giant. That's not small news. That is the industry telling you exactly which model is winning right now. This is not a niche idea. This is how the top of the industry is actually operating. The agents who get it are absolutely feasting. The agents who do not are losing listings to the ones who do. And here's what's fascinating about this. Because the agent is in the exact same trap that I just walked you through. The agent is using a $400 media package that looks just like every other agent in their market who is also using a $400 media package. When they need to win a listing, when they need to convince a seller to pick them over the 4 other agents pitching for the same house, what do they have to differentiate themselves with? Nothing. They look like everybody else because they buy the same package as everybody else. So they get price shopped like everybody else. They get squeezed for a lower percentage on their commission because just like us, there's always someone willing to do it cheaper. Instead of the full 2.5% commission, this agent over here will do it for 2. The same comparison problem that you have on the videography side, the agent has on the agent side. They're all stuck in the same menu. They are also being compared on price. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying you should not offer photos. I'm not saying do not deliver the floor plans, the twilight, the 3D tours, all of that stuff. Of course you offer them. Of course buyers need them to help with their decision to buy a house. Let's be honest, no one's buying a house without looking at the photos first. But that is bare minimum in 2026. That is the standard. That's the price for a seat at the table. It is not the differentiator. What separates agents who win is not the listing assets, it's who they are on camera. And here's the brutal truth for us as videographers. Most of us cannot think past what camera settings to use. We look around at all of our competition and the first questions we ask are, what plugins are they using? What captions are they using? What fonts did they pick? What LUT did they use to color grade with? We're trying to provide a service that solves a much bigger problem than any of us even realize, and yet all we can think about is making pretty videos. We get so caught up in making pretty videos that we forget what the videos are actually for. Those videos that we as creators are so obsessed with are designed to make the agent look like the obvious choice for the next listing. That's the actual job. The video is a tool, but the job is positioning the agent to win. If you are a videographer who only shoots property tours, yes, you are useful, but you are replaceable. I'm sorry. There are 5 other people in your market who can do exactly that, and at least one of them is willing to do it for less, if not all 4 of them. But if you understand what your work actually does for the agent, if you can film them on camera, if you can help them show up as an authority, if you can teach them how to build something that wins listings, if you you can help them write their scripts, if you understand content and conversions and algorithms, you can build something with that agent that wins them their next listing that hasn't even hit the market yet. Imagine having a conversation like that with your agent. Your price becomes the last thing they consider, not the first thing that they look for on the quote. And this is how I work with my clients. I do not hand them an a la carte menu. I do not give them a pricing sheet with check boxes next to drone, photo, video, floor plan. That is what every other videographer in our markets are doing. I consult them instead. I sit down with them. I ask them what they actually need, what their listing is, who their seller is, what are they trying to accomplish with this property, who's the target demographic. Then I give them suggestions and a plan for what is actually going to move the needle for that specific situation. Then I go to work providing those assets. That's white glove service. That's not what their last videographer did. And let me show you what that conversation produces. Recently, I just pitched a $6,000 property campaign to one of my agents. And here's the text that I got back from him. I'll read it to you word for word. I listened to your audio message and reviewed the proposal. I love it. I'm in 100%. Just grateful to be able to work with you. I trust you completely. So whatever you think, I will do. This is not an ego thing. This is not a JT thing. And no, I did not stage that. That's a real text from a real client on a real project. This is what happens when you pitch a solution to their problems instead of handing them a menu. $6,000 quote, and the only thing he had to say was that he was grateful to work with me. No negotiation, no pushback, no, can we work the price down just a little? Just trust and just gratitude. That's what white glove service produces, and that is why my price stops being the conversation. So here's what you need to hear. There's always going to be somebody cheaper than you. There always will be. You are not going to outprice the cheap ones in your market. That is a race to the bottom that nobody can finish. You have to stop competing on that level. Decide right now that you are going to play a different game entirely. The game where you are the only one in your market doing what you do. And the price is based on the value of the service you provide, not on how it compares to your competitors. Now let me show you two cases where this played out. The first one is one of my actual clients. The second is a student inside the Signature Creator. First one, I had a real estate agent come to me a while back. Brand new social media account. He had just started it. He had less than 60 followers. He came to me with one goal, and his exact words were, I want to have the best quality videos of any agent in our area. He wanted to make a splash. He wanted to announce to the world that he was here and he was here to stay. What we decided on was 4 videos. I quoted him $5,000 for the full campaign, and here's what happened. Each one of those videos hit over 10,000 views in the first 24 hours from an account with 60 followers. And no, he didn't collab with me. He didn't leverage my following. He posted those 4 videos on his own as trial reels and completely made a splash. 2 weeks later, he called me up to film a brand new listings that he had won directly from his content. But here's the real value of this story. He did not have a big following beforehand. He did not have any content at all beforehand. He was able to bring exposure and awareness to himself and the listings he was trying to market, which ended up bringing him a new listing and another commission that he would not have had otherwise. Do you see what I'm getting at here? We're not focusing on selling this house for him. We're focusing on getting him more commissions from listings that haven't hit the market yet. And it all came from content that made him look different than everybody else around him. To show you even further how possible this is, without a big following, without a big portfolio, without all the things that people think you need to have, let me tell you about Ethan, my student inside the Signature Creator. Ethan had less than 500 followers on his account. The best video he had ever posted at this point was around 600 views. He knew how to use a camera already. He had an experience with gimbals, with shooting, with editing. The problem was he had no portfolio for real estate, which is the thing that he actually wanted to build. He had no case studies and he had no clients. By the way, if you don't believe me, click the video above. It's his full story in his own words. I highly recommend you go watch it. Within his first 30 days inside the program, I shared with him the strategy that I suggest all new creators follow. The ones with no portfolio, the ones with no listings. He went and executed on it immediately. He followed the shooting training, the editing training, but most importantly, because of our calls in the program, he understood the mindset, the positioning, and what actually makes a video valuable before he made it. He created a video that did over 100,000 views in the first 24 hours, and it is now over 300,000 views today. If you don't believe me, you can also go find it. But the point of all this is not the views. I do not want you to get caught up in the views, the vanity, the metrics, the clout, all that nonsense that other influencers can't stop talking about. The point was not the views, just like the point was not the views for the agent who hired me earlier. The point was inbound leads. The point was positioning yourself in a way that other people see you as an authority, as an expert, as somebody they want to actually hire. You can do that with 10 views. You can do that with 100 views. You can do that with 10,000 views. The views don't matter. The point is the intention behind the content you create is what puts you in a position of power. After having no clients, no portfolio, after having his DMs and cold emails ignored, people started reaching out to him because he had created something of value. And now he has projects, proposals, and clients lined up that he is negotiating, building, and executing on. The only difference between you and him is that he gave himself permission to make something valuable, not follow the status quo and ship off cookie cutter menus to agents in his market. No, he gave himself permission to push his limits, to push the boundaries of what he was creatively capable of doing, and the work spoke for itself. I want to be honest about where I sit in my market right now, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. Most agents in my market know that if you want that level of video, if you want that level of service, I'm the one you call. And no, it's not me bragging. That's just the math of positioning catching up over time. I have not done cold pitches or cold calls or cold emails in well over a year, and I do not get asked for discounts either. I get asked for my schedule and my availability. Whether they can afford me is up to them, but the question is never, can I get this cheaper somewhere else? Because they already know the answer. They already know they can't. And here's something I want to be abundantly clear on. There is no downside to you being the best in your market. Zero. Every hour, every dollar, every ounce of energy that you invest in becoming the best compounds permanently in your favor forever. And here's why. Premium is a one-way door. If you can produce $2,000 quality work, you can also produce $200 work whenever you want. But the reverse is not possible. The cheap guys in your market right now cannot decide today to start producing $2,000 videos tomorrow. That investment takes time, but premium is portable. The skill, the brand, the positioning, they move wherever you go. You can move cities, you can build a team, you can scale in a different market, you can offer an entirely new service. Premium reputation is recognized everywhere. When you have that skill set and that quality, you could go pick any market in the country and immediately go beat out their competition. And here's the kicker. Once you are top of market, you can retroactively dominate every tier below you. If you wanted to scale and hire and delegate and build a huge team and deliver $400 videos, you absolutely could. And you can do it better than everyone else in your market, also delivering that same product, because they cannot do that. The volume operators cannot retroactively become premium. So while my competitors are fighting over price and turnaround times, I can compete on all of those and quality. Why? Because I know how to make premium, which means I can train how to make premium. There's no battlefield that they can beat me on. That is what premium positioning actually buys you. It's not about a price tag anymore. It's about the ability to dominate any tier you choose to play in. And every member who joined my first cohort back in January, when I asked them later why they paid for this, they all said a version of the same thing. They didn't just buy the course, they didn't pay for modules, they paid for access to the brain that has already been through all the decisions they're walking into. They paid for the shortcut on years of mistakes. They paid for somebody who could look at their situation and say, do this, not that. And I'm the guy who walked over that same hill, made every wrong turn, fell off every cliff, and is now standing on the other side saying, hey, that's probably not the best way to go. Which leads me to what I've actually built. The signature creator is built on 4 systems, and they all feed into each other. Isolating them does not produce the same result. But I want to walk you through what each one does, because I think it will give you a sense of where the actual leverage is. The first one is on-site mastery. This is how to shoot premium signature work on a property. Not just how to use a camera and balance a gimbal. This is the system that turns showing up to a house from a guess into a process, so that the moment you walk on site, you already know what to get, in what order, and why. The shoot becomes faster, the footage becomes better, and you stop second guessing yourself in the field, so you have more time for creativity. The reason this is the first system is because unless this is mastered, all other systems after it fail. The second one is the editing blueprint. This is how to edit so videos do the selling, not selling the house, selling you. Most editors just want to copy cuts and transitions, and that is the wrong approach entirely. The right question is, why do humans actually watch what they watch? And how do you build an edit that taps into that? Once you understand that, you stop editing 90-second reels, packing hallway bathrooms and pantry shots and garages into a video that nobody's watching anyway. This is all about creating work that feels intentional instead of accidental. The third one is premium positioning. This is how you make yourself incomparable. Pricing, packaging, the conversation you have with an agent before they ever ask you about cost. This is all the internal stuff. Understanding that you are not just delivering an MP4 file, you are solving a much, much bigger problem. The fourth system is the client flywheel. This is how one premium piece of work turns into the next 5. This is the entire reason I have not had to do a cold outreach in over a year. The reason agents in my market are calling me instead of me calling them is because the work itself does the marketing. All 4 systems work together. The shooting feeds the editing feeds the positioning feeds the flywheel sends you more projects, which feeds back to the shooting again. It is a loop that compounds endlessly, and the more you master, the more you learn, the more you charge, the more you outscale and outpace your competitors. So here's what I want you to take away from this. If you have ever felt like your work is better than your competitors, but somehow your business is still not catching up to that level, or if you feel like your work is maybe a 7 out of 10, but the business is more like a 3 or a 4 out of 10, or if you have work to do on the creative side and feel solid on the sales, the gap is not a skill problem. The gap is a system problem. And the problem is not you, the problem is the systems that you rely on. James Clear says it best in Atomic Habits. We do not rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. If we aspire to accomplish all these things and build a great business, we are still going to be held back by our systems. That is the gap these 4 systems are built to close. So here's what I want you to do. If you're not in it already, there's a free school community I run called TSC Community. The link is in the description of this video. You can join right now, absolutely free. Inside that community, we run free workshops from time to time. There are also replays of previous workshops and masterclasses that help you understand all the topics I talked about in this video at a much more granular level. You can come in and lurk, you can come share your work, you can ask questions, all of that is totally fine. But for those of you who are ready to actually build this system, to actually execute and start taking action on becoming the most premium and the most profitable real estate videographer in your market, the paid program enrollment is open and it's called the Signature Creator. There's no countdown clock on it this time, but it is the cheapest now that it will ever be to join. As time goes on, as market conditions change, as new tools and skills and methods are discovered, the program gets updated because it stays relevant and because it keeps improving. Because of that, it will only become more and more valuable over time, which means the price will only ever increase. If you are ready, the link is the first one in the description. Now, the last thing I want to leave you with is this. There is a creator in your market right now who is cheaper than you. There always will be. The question is not how do you outprice them? The question is how do you make yourself incomparable? How do you become a category of one? This is what we build together inside the Signature Creator. The link's below, and I'll see you in the next one.